Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Welcome to this class, and this class is about the components of foods and their sources. So what is food actually? If I ask you the questions, what is the answer? So if I say that food is the substance which are digested and absorbed within the body, and it helps itself for repairing, staying healthy, supplies nourishment for vital activities, protections from disease, and to produce heat and energy. These substances are called food. So in case of stating the definition of food, we need to think about 5 things. That food is the substance that is digested within the body and absorbed within the body. So it should be digested and should be absorbed within the body, and then when it is digested and absorbed in the body, then it must helps for repairing body. So we can say the definition of food is this is a substance that is digested or absorbed within the body, then helps repairing it, staying healthy, supplies the nourishment for vital activities, protections from disease, and produce heat and energy. This substance is known as food. And in these foods, when we take foods for what? We take food for maintaining our own activities into our body. In our body is this process of like respirations, digestions, excretions, and a lot of other symptoms and a lot of other systems is going on. So if we see that what are the food ingredients in our body, or usually we're taking foods every day, what are the food components inside these foods? And these are the 7 actually. Number 1 is protein, carbohydrate, fat, vitamins, minerals, water, and roughage, or you can say it's roughage or fiber. So we can say that there are 7 components of food, and these components have their own functions. You see that protein will definitely, there are a lot of functions of proteins, carbohydrates, and vitamins, but I'm trying to keep them focused on one single components or single functions. Like protein is for growth and reparation. Carbohydrate mainly produce heat and energy, same as fat is producing heat and energy, but something like I'm explaining the later on. Vitamins is about immunity, immune system, disease protections. So when we take vitamins, is for that vitamins is necessary for immune system development. We know that we have own different systems in our body, and that is for vitamins. Minerals is for organic functions. Think about water, we can say in the same like thermal balance and the cellular activity. And fibers or roughage main activity is actually bowel function, is smoothness of the bowel function and absorbing water. So if you see, there's 7 actually compounds of fiber, and these are these. So now in this tutorial I'm only discussing about 3 compounds: protein, fat, and carbohydrate. Now we'll think about protein. Proteins main source is actually 16% nitrogen, and if you see that proteins, 1 gram proteins provides 4 calories into our body. And while we can say that from the source we can divide protein into 2 parts, animal protein and plant protein. You see from which food you can have animal proteins like fishes, meats, eggs, cheeses, pulses, and livers. And there are other sources also, but I'm just trying to keep some specific names so that you can memorize that what are the sources of proteins. And you know that proteins are 2 sources, like animal protein and plant protein. In case of animal protein, we'll have fish, meat, eggs, cheese, pulset, and livers. In case of plant proteins, pulses, nuts, beans, and seeds, a main source of plant proteins. So in protein we have a 16% nitrogen, and protein is very important for growth and development. And of course, when we'll think about the cell divisions, you know that for cell divisions protein is necessary for forming everywhere there is a lipid and protein, so proteins is required. Think about carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is a food particles where like carbon, hydrogen and oxygen are combined together, and these carbohydrate actually divided into three parts. There are another part where I say like oligosaccharide, but in this tutorial I'm saying about only three, that is monosaccharide, disaccharide and polysaccharide. This word saccharide, it means very well-known carbohydrate is C6H12O6. This is glucose. So in the glucose molecule you can see this is carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. That is why I wrote CHO as a short form of carbohydrate. So carbohydrate has like three different types: monosaccharide, disaccharide and polysaccharide. If I just give you a single idea that mono means single molecule, di means two molecule, and poly means number of another molecules. So whenever you study about HSC botany, there is a chapter cell chemistry, and under the cell chemistry there is another part is carbohydrate. On that part it was actually explained with a wider aspect, but here monosaccharide means where only one single carbohydrate molecules will be there, like glucose, fructose. So again, in honey and fruit juice, glucose and fructose are available. So glucose, single molecule, is the carbohydrate single molecule, and that is why it's glucose, and this is monosaccharide. Actually these are all hexose. Hexose means 6 carbohydrates. So it's like monosaccharide, and then disaccharide means 2 monosaccharide combined together and it forms sugar and milk. Like sucrose is a very well-known example of disaccharide, because sucrose formed with a combination of glucose and fructose. So glucose and fructose are monosaccharide. When these 2 monosaccharide combine together, they form disaccharide, and this is called sugar and milk. Think about polysaccharide. Number of monosaccharides joined together, like starch, like starch, and of course there are other things. I just forget. Rice, glycogen and starch. There are other polysaccharide, but most profound example is glycogen and starch. Think about rice, atta, potato and green vegetables. They are the main source of polysaccharide. So in case of carbohydrate, we must know 3 types: mono, di, poly. In case of mono, we can have honey and fruit juice. In case of di, we can have milk and sugar. In case of polysaccharide, we can have rice, atta, potato, green vegetables. Now I think about fat. Fat, it's very important, but it also harmful for our body, because it's stored into the beneath our skin, and also it's stored into the muscles or brain. But this storing fat is not always helpful if stored in huge amount. But this fat, when it's stored as because whenever necessary, that fat turns into some other carbohydrates, and that is why fat stored in our body beneath the skin. So we can say that fat is the source is divided into 2 parts, that is vegetable fat and animal fat. In case of vegetable fat, we can have this vegetable fat widely used like soybean or mustard oil, even nuts, sunflower or corn oils. So those oils are the source of fats. So we can say that vegetables, the fats has 2 type of source: vegetable fat and animal fat. In animal fat, we can have it from ghee, dalda, egg yolk. So think about the carbohydrate, protein and fat. So these are the food compounds, actually the components of food and their sources. As this class is focused on this topic, I didn't actually explain it in a wider aspect, but there is another chapter that I need to explain it in a wider aspect. So that is in cell chemistry, when I explain about carbohydrate, protein and fat in different lecture. So wrap up the class, see the protein, carbohydrate, fat, vitamins, minerals, water and fibers. These are the components of food and this is the main function. You need to memorize these things, because if there is a question from this chapter, you have to answer properly. And these are the sources of protein, fat and carbohydrate. So I hope you understand this, and next video I'm coming up with the vitamins, minerals and fat with their sources and divisions. So take care, stay well.